So how are you doing today?
Doing good,
Doing
thanks.
great. Okay. Well, as you can see, there's actually a protest right here against the U.S. government for supporting and supplying Israel with arms and ammunition for the ongoing conflict in Gaza. So what is your take on the whole situation?
On what, sorry? Exactly?
Well, exactly what's happening, and what do you think it would take to actually bring some sort of peace to the Middle East?
What I think it would take to bring peace to the Middle East. Well, Israel is a very strong army and it's unlikely to be defeated on the ground. So it would clearly take international pressure, most likely from the US.
Oh, okay. So you think that the United States is in a position to actually pressure Israel to reverse course and bring some semblance of peace?
I don't think it's an opinion. I think it's objectively true that the US has the means to extract pressure on Israel.
And why do you think that that pressure is not being exerted currently?
I think there's many factors. What people point to is Israel lobby, other points to a moral case, other points to strategic interest.
Right. Well, those sounds like, this absolutely sounds like a reason that may have a play in what's going on. So what do you say to people who say that none of this would have happened under a Trump administration?
I think this is a pretty outrageous idea. Trump accepted to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and has said that he will endorse Israel more. So I don't know how people could have this idea, honestly.
Right. So what do you say to people who said, okay, well, under the Trump administration, there was relative peace in the Middle East. There was an attempt to get some sort of lasting peace. There was the Abraham Accords. What do you say to people who say, okay, well, at least he made an effort to bring some sort of peace to the Middle East?
I think people confuse causes with effects. Just because the effect doesn't fall in the period in which the causes are being created, it doesn't mean that they are disjointed by the cause.
Got you. So what do you think is the end game in all of this? How do you see all of this coming to an end?
I don't know. I just hope it ends soon.
Yeah. Do you think that, look at it this way, do you think that a change in the current administration, because as you know, the previous lady has suggested that Kamala Harris's administration would basically follow exactly what a Biden administration was promoting. So do you think that a change in administration would achieve anything?
I think Kamala Harris has made it clear that she will not stop the delivery of weapons to Israel.
Right.
She said that several times. But it's also obvious that there are pressure groups within the Democratic Party that stand a better chance to influence Kamala Harris than they do Donald Trump.
Okay.
Those pressures don't exist on the Republican side.
Right. So you actually think that these groups can exert enough pressure on a Kamala Harris administration to effect some sort of change?
I don't think so, but I think they stand a better chance than on the Republican side.
Oh, okay. But everybody seems to suggest that Donald Trump and the Republicans are ready for peace, and that he possibly may be in a position to exert more pressure on and garner much more respect from Middle Eastern leaders than a Kamala Harris administration would.
So here the question is, Trump is more brutal, so he can achieve things that Democratic administration wouldn't be able. Is that the point?
Well, I just think that he's based on experience and then based on what we saw in the last administration, he was able to achieve, as again, some semblance of peace during his administration with the Abraham Accords. I mean, which included Saudi Arabia recognizing the state of Israel. So,
and of Palestine?
Well, I don't think it went that far. But
exactly.
So
I think it's easy to reach a kind of peace
right.
that is interested that is interesting for one side only, the more powerful one.
Right.
But if you listen to what they are saying, oftentimes they say no justice, no peace.
Right.
So I think that demonstrations are not necessarily interested in a peace solution that they don't agree with. They're more interested in a solution that for them includes justice. So I don't think it's just a matter of achieving peace. It's a matter of achieving a peace that is acceptable by
Long lasting.
and acceptable by both.
Right, right. And how do you envision that peace to be acceptable? What sort of framework does that peace have to take to be acceptable to both sides? Like, just give me a starting point. What do you think would be a starting point?
I think the starting point is to hear more Palestinian voices. If you cannot have. This is a tough one.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't know. I'm also not Palestinian, so it's not fair for me to say.
You're also Palestinian?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not.
It's really not fair for me to say. The voice should go to Palestinians. They should know.
Right.
They should be the ones saying what they think, as well as Israelis.
What would you say is the most critical thing at this particular juncture? I would assume it would be actually a cessation of actual military
Yeah, that's
action.
the first step. I think it's obvious. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what would possibly initiate such a stop? Or do you believe that it's just like it's gone too far to actually get to some sort of cessation?
No, I think for as horrible as it is, every war has stopped in the past, so this one will stop too at some point.
Right.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point at which the continuation of war becomes more expensive for Israel than
Right.
not, or
Diminishing marginal returns, so to speak.
maybe.
Yeah.
We'll end at some point.
Well, I guess we all hope that it does.
Yeah.
You know. But let me ask you a totally different question. How do you see a new presidency or the presidency after next week? How do you think it would impact New York City per se? How would a Trump or Kamala presidency impact New York City in particular?
That's a very different topic.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely different topic. I wanted to, at least ease off the heavy stuff for a minute,
New York City specifically? I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that Trump having come to Madison Square Garden, do you think that will have any impact on the way New York votes? Some people say New York might turn red. Do you think that's a possibility? Or it was all sentimental to come to New York?
I really don't know New York enough to say whether that's a possibility or not. My hunch is that it doesn't matter, that was just a big show.
Right.
But I really don't know.
So you don't think that we're looking at a 1980s style, Reagan, New York turning red sort of thing?
New York, I'd be very surprised.
You'd be very surprised, yeah. It's way too deep. Liberally, it's way too deep and too Democrat deep, right?
Maybe they turn some districts, but the whole of New York, that would be something.
You know it has happened before, right? With Ronald Reagan in the early 80s, right?
Yeah, before.
Yeah.
You think it'll happen?
I think it's possible, especially with so many disgruntled New Yorkers with the migrant crisis, the crime. You see, New Yorkers like myself, we have seen pre-Giuliani New York. And as much as we make fun of Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, all the stuff that we're enjoying right now was actually done by Rudolph Giuliani. Absolutely, I can tell you. You see places like, even not too far from here, like Red Oak and stuff like that. These were no-go zones. And Mayor Rudolph Giuliani came in and totally turned the city around. And I know they're making fun of him now, right? He's yeah. But we've seen the transition, and New Yorkers who have seen the transition are morbidly terrified that things will get back to the way it was. We've seen it. Yeah, absolutely seen it. I mean, all this beautiful stuff you've seen, all the buildings, all of that. Totally different place. Over 20 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, absolutely totally different place. A lot of these people are enjoying all this good stuff right now. They're just enjoying the hard work of Mayor Rudolph Giuliani.
interesting perspective.
Absolutely. Even the police and the discipline and the structure of the police and the impact on the city was all done by Mayor Rudolph Jr. I know. It's the same guy they're ridiculing right now. You know. And it's just sad to see that. Personally, I think it's just horrible to see that. Because this guy essentially turned New York City around.
All right. Thanks for your perspective.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if any...
What is this? What is this for? If I can.
Oh, this is the Hanovi Global Network. H-O-N-O-V-I. Hanovi Global Network.
All right. Where do I find you?
And on YouTube. Yeah. Check it out. We have some, interesting perspectives.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. What do you say your name?
Chris.
Chris. Nice meeting you, Chris.
Nice to
John.
meet you.
All right. Take care. All the best, Chris. It was a pleasure.